thank you very much for being here and for being available for the questions for the Deloitte challenge as parts of the SANCS. Thank you very much. So for the general format of this, what we're envisioning is that the people that are here in the meeting, they can either submit a question written if they prefer in the Q&A channel, or they can raise their hand and then we will unmute you. You can ask your question and you'll receive a response from Jillian. It is very important that after you've asked your questions, if you remember to take your hand back down so we can kind of keep track of everybody and see who's asked a question and who hasn't. But with that out of the way, yeah, we're open to the first questions here from our school participants. So feel free to either write something into the Q&A chat or raise your hand. Or maybe if you want to start, Jillian, you have some general words of advice or something you want to tell the participants, that's also great. Thank you.
So maybe as a general start, just to confirm that you all have received the presentation that we presented during the session, because all the information contained in that presentation is what you would need in order to complete the challenge. So if there are any questions, happy to go through those, or if there's any further explanation of items in the presentation that we presented that might not have been that clear during the session, that you might need a further explanation, happy to do that as well. I'll keep it towards the challenge than to make it a little bit too wide.
Yeah, I believe all the participants have received already the briefing about the specific challenge. Feel free to give me a thumbs up or react if that's indeed the case, but I'm fairly certain it is. But we have our first raised hand here. Yep. So I will allow your microphone, Kudzai, so that you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to highlight that the chat is grayed out, so I don't know if we are able to send our questions via the chat, but from my side, it's grayed out. I'm unable to send questions via the chat.
Yeah, is the Q&A channel available?
I can't see. From my side, I'm not sure if the other participants can.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that. Okay. Did you have any other particular questions about the challenge itself?
It wasn't on the challenge itself, but it was on the process flow of communication, because I think you highlighted that we need to appoint a representative, and they will send an email to one person, like, what's the process flow of communication? We'll just send our questions to that email and we'll get feedback, or are we allowed to contact directly to the Deloitte mentor teams? What is the process flow?
Well, ideally, this session is for questions you have, particularly for Deloitte, about the challenge itself and the tasks you have to do. If you have more, I guess, sort of questions about the course, the first thing I'd recommend is, of course, you take a look at the course manual, all the information you have then for completing the challenge and the communications and everything is to be found there. But otherwise, if you have some other questions and it's about the process and it's not in the manual, then you should send us an email. And in terms of the contact person, yeah, so there will be one person that will be submitting the final product then to us at SANCS through the SANCS email. That's the purpose there. From my understanding, the main conversation and questions you will have with Deloitte is meant to be here in this meeting. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, you have. Thank you. Perfect.
Then we have another verbal question. So I will unmute Dakalo. You're allowed to use your mic. And I've also double checked in the settings. You should have access to the Q&A channel. And I see that some people are already writing questions there. So if you have questions, send them in the Q&A channel if you have written ones. Thank you. Off to you, Dakalo.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Altron. So for me, with regard to the challenges, I had, call it, if I'm wrong, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing correctly. Is it Jilin? Yeah. you mentioned about the presentation, so I'm not sure whether I'm the only one who didn't receive it, because my question was based with regard to the challenge, whether if is there any any guidelines that will assist us in order to develop this particular challenge, or maybe whatever that we're going to do, you're going to be referring to any framework that's related to cybersecurity at Deloitte. Thank you.
So during the session, as well as in the presentation, there was reference made to the NIST framework, NIST 2.0 framework. If you look at the appendix in the presentation, there were the detailed subcategories for each of the NIST functions. There's about 106 of those listed. But even if you look at this slide where we provided the categories for each of the functions for the NIST framework, you should be able to get some guidance from those categories to support you in identifying which of the categories are present in the challenge, or which of those categories are not present. Recommendations that we are looking for is not presented in the presentation. It is your best guess. It's doing maybe a little bit of research of what you think would be good recommendations for categories that's not present. And then I think the last question in the challenge is preventative versus detective controls. There's been one slide in the presentation that also indicate which of the NIST categories, which of those are deemed preventative versus detective versus corrective controls. So that slide would be quite important for the last question of the challenge.
All right, thank you.
What you guys can also do, if you require a bit more if you require more information on the different categories or subcategories, you can also Google the NIST 2.0 framework. There's quite a lot of information on the internet as well that's available, since this is a global industry framework, so it's not Deloitte specific.
Excellent. Thank you. Because you just mentioned the NIST, actually, I'm going to take one of the written questions here and read it out for you. So the NIST standard is a predominantly US standard that serves the primary interests of US entities. How will this challenge assist us in getting a global perspective on cybersecurity around Africa and Europe?
So it came from the US. However, it is a global adopted framework. It is widely used across all industries and across all continents. We, for example, in Deloitte, use the NIST framework to perform assessments in companies in Europe as well as in Asia, Australia. So don't think it's just for US. It's widely globally adopted by all different types of entities as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Now let's take another verbal question. I'm going to allow you to use your mic, Takunda, so you can feel free to unmute yourself and raise your question.
Hello. My question is not really about the NIST, the challenge itself, but I found myself in two groups, 2E and 2F. I sent an email to get that rectified, but I haven't gotten a reply back. So I want to figure out how I can handle that situation so as to avoid conflicts of interest.
Yep, thank you for letting me know. I have written this down. I will look into it on the side while we continue the Q&A, and I'll get back to you about this. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, thank you.
Okay, then we had another written question here, which is asking about if we're going to be, or the participant that is going to be guided on how to do the video, or if there's any general guidance on the approach of the challenge, or if you're going to be assigned specific tasks as team members. I can partly answer this, and then I'll hand it over to Jeline to see if she has any extra pieces of advice. But no, the idea is not that you're going to be assigned specific tasks as team members. Like, okay, you need one person in the group to do the editing, one person to do the storyboarding. Like, it's up for you to communicate with your group members and figure out an approach for how you want to tackle it. So on the role side of it, that's what I can tell you. Now, maybe Jeline has some extra word of advice or guidance here in terms of task allocations and stuff within the group.
Maybe before I answer, how big is a group usually?
I think it's around 6 members, but I can double check that for you.
It's quite a lot in the group. If I'm not mistaken, there were 4 questions. So what you guys can maybe do is a person can take question 1 and question 4, but with regards to question 2 and 3, where we are looking for which of the NIST categories are present or not present, and to provide recommendation is maybe see how many categories are present for question 2 and how many are not present for question 3, and maybe explain. Each person can take a category and explain why they think it's present or not present, because that gives everyone a speaking turn. I think there should be enough in question 2 and 3 for you to make sure every person in the group at least have a moment to present an element of the NIST framework.
Great, thank you. I've also confirmed that the size of the group. So the groups are quite large. They're between 6 and sometimes up to 10 people. So yeah, quite a sizable group.
Yeah, I think if people take the size of the group and let everyone have a moment to present a NIST category under question 2 and 3, then at least everyone has a moment to speak and provide their rationale as to why they think a particular category is present or not present.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Now let's take another verbal question. Tuso, I have allowed your microphone, so you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hey everyone. My question today is like, I see the challenge is the video. We must make a video for 3 minutes. My question is, it's supposed to be a 3 minutes video. I think it's shorter for me to cover the whole circumference of or the questions or basically of the challenge, or should maybe I present a portion of some of the whole project, maybe after all of my project members have combined our discussions together. I don't think I think yeah, that's only my question, if I'm clear.
Thank you. So if I understood the question correctly, was it if you're asking if the video can be shorter than 3 minutes?
Like I once I've started already to do the challenge, so I've intercepted many things to present within a minimum of 3 minutes. Like for instance, must we implement we add the implementation steps for each of every solution we get towards our task on our presentation for the video for 3 minutes. Should it cover all the questions for 3 minutes? Yes, that's my question.
Yes, I believe the purpose is to be able to cover all the questions in 3 minutes, unless I'm mistaken, Jeline.
The 3-minute guidance came from SANCS, so I almost want to say 3, maybe max 4 minutes.
Sorry,
If
I will
you-
actually step in here about this
Yeah.
specifically. It is the time limit is very strict to 3 minutes. So do not make sure it goes over. The administrators for going through the videos are quite harsh on this. So make sure that your video does not go over 3 minutes. Just saying that. Yeah, carry on, Jeline. Sorry.
Okay.
So what I would maybe recommend is, instead of focusing on the 4 questions in its individual status, is to be creative in your video and combine all 4 questions into a 3-minute presentation, where you start off literally in a few seconds by what is the purpose. It's almost like an introduction. Question 1 can be your introduction, and then you can go for what you deem to be present and why you say it, what you deem, which NIST categories you deem not to be present, why you say it, and in the same breath almost what would be a good recommendation. And while you're talking about those categories that are present or not present, to conclude for 15 seconds, basically to say, and the company for that reason is quite good with protective, or quite good with detective, or not at all. So you summarize everything in 3 minutes, and you don't need to go for question 1 and then talk question 2. So make it you're almost presenting information to an audience. I think that will keep you within the 3-minute limit.
Okay, not the implementation steps.
Sorry?
We must not dwell into presenting implementation steps for each and every solution. That's the advice you're giving to me.
It's basically, I'm just reading, it's on question 3. It's
Yes.
more specific suggestions. So depends on your time limit, and it depends on how many categories you've identified under question 2 and 3, how much you want to say. But as Elton mentioned, you need to stay within your 3-minute limit. So don't take it to too much detail on implementation and lose minutes there. It's providing suggestions as to what you think the company should do in order to address the category that is not in place.
Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Thank you. Also, quickly to get to Takunda's question from before. We're gonna remove you from one of the groups for your double assignment, so you'll be informed about what group you'll be in the end. I think we can take another verbal question. Yusra, I have allowed your mic, so you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. I actually had a question about the briefing again, because I'm still not clear on where exactly I can find it. Is it in the session, the last session, so the Security Operations Center, or is it in an attached file in an email somewhere?
So I believe it's in it's going to be in one of the recordings for the sessions. I'm getting the link on the side here, and as soon as I have the link, I'll paste it into the Q&A channel so that everyone in this meet can see exactly which one it is.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
And then another thing, the chat for me, it's still not turned on. So it says chat is turned off for this meeting.
Yes, there should be a separate channel on the top that says Q&A, and I see that we have quite a few people who have been able to successfully submit questions through there. So yes, the chat is disabled, but the Q&A should be open for written questions.
I can see it. Thank you so much.
No worries. Okay, let's move on to Ziad. Your microphone is enabled, so you can feel free to mute yourself or unmute yourself to ask your question.
Hi, good day, guys. Just a quick question on the NIST 2 framework. On question number 2 on the challenge document, we state identify which categories of the NIST2 framework are currently in place at Tech Solutions based on the provided information. Now, currently on the NIST 2.0, we've got 6 core functions. And under those core functions, we've got 22 categories, and I think 106 or 107 subcategories. Some of those core functions are related to the categories. Now, if we dive deep into the categories and then subcategories, do we list every single subcategory? Because there's more than one subcategory that this organization is not compliant with, in the sense that what they actually have complied with huge gaps is basically identify, protect, detect, and respond. But below that, we have a huge amount of categories and subcategories that we can list where they are failing. You know, a simple gap analysis that, based on what has been said, will tell you straight up that, listen, there's more than 20 subcategories that they are not complying with. So do we list all of them, or do we list just a few to ensure we make up that time frame that we require to adhere to in terms of our presentation?
So maybe in order to answer you, I'm going to ask just a quick question to Alton. And I think it's also one of the Q&A questions, and that is the submission only going to be the video, or is there also a written presentation?
No, I believe the submission is only video, but I can double check that for you.
If you can double check, because for me, so you are right. There's the 22 categories. The 106 subcategories is more there for extra information. You don't need to go to that level of detail. The information provided in the background touches on some of the categories. If the subcategory has not been mentioned in a lot of detail, you don't need to indicate that it's not there for question 3. For question 2, it's quite explicit as to what is in place, which will make question 2 a little bit easier. But only if something was mentioned deliberately that it's not been done well or it's not in place, that you have to mention it under question 3. If no information was provided for a particular category, in your opinion, then you don't need to mention it as a default because of your time limitation.
Okay, then I have another question relating to your answer, because you say they are developing on fintech, they're developing in the healthcare industry. Healthcare, you've now got HIPAA regulation that comes into place. Fintech, you've got Sarbanes-Oxley Act that comes into place as well. Now, based on all those information, there's a lot of categories that are now coming in, because HIPAA, you're going to be so specific in terms of protecting personal identifiable information, compliance with GDPR, cross-border transfer of information. The whole tutti comes into place. I'm so sorry to be in detail, but basically looking at the actual clarification of what Tech Solutions does and their background, all those subcategories suddenly start pulling in. So there's definitely going to be a time limit constraint if you really want to basically answer those questions on the actual background information of what the software development company does. Also in SDLC, and then an SDLC that comes in the software development lifecycle has huge recommendations and categories. So that is why I'm trying to ascertain, do I keep the most important, which also allows for risks to escalate, or do I just put everything in there? But then when doing that, time limit suddenly just knocks you out completely.
So you purely have to look at NIST. You don't need to bring in everything else because of the type of company that it is. Keep it to NIST. But given the type of organization and you want to bring in something about SDLC as an example, and which of the, based on the information provided, that you think it is for you, you think it's quite important for a particular subcategory to actually be in place, and you want to highlight in your example SDLC, you can bring that in. It will take you a few seconds to mention that. If you have that a little bit more that you want to add to it, than to just reference everything that was listed in the background. So don't focus too much on the type of organization to think of other legislation, other frameworks, all of that. That's not needed. But if you want to bring in elements like STLC in relation to the categories, then you can highlight those. But it's not mandatory.
Okay.
It's optional.
Understood, because NIST does make mention of HIPAA and Sarbanes-Oxley under the govern core function and the protect core function as well. So just a brief of it will be fine.
If you want to bring it in as to why you think some categories are in place, not in place, or whether they are protected or not protected, you can bring that in if you want.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. Now, you asked me to confirm the thing about the video, the written component. No, it's indeed only a video that will be submitted. Then I also had questions to link the specific presentation that you did with these instructions on it. I posted the link now in the Q&A chat to the specific lecture recording in question. So you can go there, click on that link, and then you can see the kind of last part of the presentation is specifically discussing this challenge. So you can see the slides there in the link in the Q&A channel. Let's see, I think we have some written questions. Are we expected to do a kind of brief literature review aside from the NIST framework? Again, there's not going to be a written component. So if you're asking, do you need a written literature review? No. A verbal summary, I'll hand that over to Jillian.
You've got 3 minutes. Be creative. Address your questions in the most creative way. Of course, as I see there's a question of, can the video be animated? If you think it will bring through the message and you will stand out from the rest, yes, but make sure that we also know who's behind everything. So at the end of the day, it's about bringing the 4 questions to the fore within 3 minutes in a creative, professional way.
Oh, sorry, I realized I was muted. Marika, I've allowed your microphone so you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for taking this time to answer our questions. I think my question actually ties in with Zahid, who asked about what we have to add in. But the question is, who is our audience? Who are we doing this video for? Are we going to be evaluated based on our presentation, because that gets the most likes? Or do we get evaluated on our understanding of NIST?
Elton, do you want to take it first?
Yes. So the way that the evaluation will happen is that we have a kind of like internal content-oriented criteria. However, because there are so many participants in this, there's kind of like a multi-stage selection process in which first a small portion of the videos are selected due to their capacity to be able to accumulate likes, and then out of the most liked ones, those are then reviewed according to this criteria and by people who are familiar with the field and the nature of the challenge and everything on a more content level understanding. So yeah, the like thing is sort of like the bottleneck, and then past that point, it's evaluated principally on the content there. And yeah, I can see. Jolene, do you have anything more you want to add to that?
It's 2 quite diverse elements that needs to be taken into consideration in the video, because animation creativity will get you likes, making it all fun to look at, because maybe NIST is not the the most fun thing to look at, to get likes. So try to be creative, but make sure the message comes through. Is the only advice I can give. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
It does in a sense, but also, so if our video doesn't get the most likes, then it won't even be looked at. Is that correct?
So I'm not personally overlooking that like that particular thing, but from my understanding, the likes are a very important part of your like factoring into the challenge, and it's something that is written there. So I think that like all of the videos will be taken like a general cursory look at, but then of course the likes is an important part of the application process, and at some point if you have insufficient amount of likes, then the content thing and like a detailed analysis of the specific adherence to certain criteria becomes dramatically less important, since you really need to do well on both of those criteria to have a chance of winning. And again, there was also, I see a question as well about, like sending the inputs and stuff like this. This information exists in the manual and the information you received about this challenge, including, for example, the email address that you're meant to send your inputs to the challenge, which is the cyberschool@hcss.nl email. The information we have about that process and about the sending and the inputs and stuff like this, it can be found in the manual there.
Okay, thank you very much.
No worries.
So
Thank you for your question.
maybe just to add, I think I mentioned it in the beginning. It's not about answering the questions as if it's like almost for question one and then you go through, because I don't think that will get you any likes. But make it a story, make it something interesting, make it where you answer the 4 questions in a story of 3 minutes. Maybe start off by saying, this company, I hope they sort themselves out, if that is what the situation is about, because they are not protected, they're not detecting, and then you give your reasons. That's an option. So that's why I say put your 4 questions in a story of 3 minutes, make it fun, make it interesting, make it if you think they are in total shambles, they will get hacked tomorrow because they have nothing in place, then alarm bells must go off, type of thing. So based on the information, I think you guys can get quite creative, but give a summary story of that address the 4 questions in a 3-minute video.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Cool. I forgot about the like part, so I was very focused on the content. So
No worries. I see another question now as well in the chat. Not sure who and how the video will be put together. Again, I think if you take a look at the manual and the email that was sent out specifically about the challenge, a lot of these questions will be there. No, you do not all do a video individually. You are sorted into groups, and then it is one video per group. I'm now going to unmute Aluta or enable your microphone so you can unmute yourself and then ask your question. Thank you. Aluta, I think you need to unmute yourself as well on your end in order to be able to ask your question. Seems like Aluta is absent, so we will come back to them. So I'm going to disable their mic again, and I will enable your microphone, Ziad, so you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, coming back to the answer that Alton and Jolene have given to Marika's question. I think the objective that all of us should follow is to grasp the attention of the audience from that video. In the video, we need to imagine we're presenting to stakeholders, and stakeholders need to lift their eyebrows up when they realize that we're telling them they're non-compliant, they're not following NIS2 framework guidelines, they need to jump into action immediately. So the objective of that video would be creative, be great, worry about getting likes, but at the same time, grab their attention and get the people we are presenting to jump into action. So that's just a suggestion that I'm making to everybody as well. That's it.
Yeah, thank you.
That because you need to grasp the attention. Imagine, although board member is not going to give you likes, but at the end of the day, take the likes, your creativity that needs to get you the likes, but you need to make sure the message comes across. And if there's an element of investment that the board will need to do, have they listen to you? And why would they listen to you? So you need to make it interesting. You need to make it appealing. You need to make it relevant and all of that. It's maybe a little bit of extra advice.
Excellent. Thank you, Ziad. Let's return back to Aluta. I've enabled your mic again. So let's see if you can unmute it and ask your question. Still seems to be having some difficulties there. So let's move on to Stefan. I've allowed your microphone, so you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My question is to you, Eton. I received 2 emails showing that I'm in 2 different groups. So I don't know what should I do with it? Should I choose one, leave one, or you will assign me to a different group?
Yeah. So what we will do, it would be great if you could just send like a quick email to the cyberschool@hcss.nl email, just saying like, hey, this is my name. I've been assigned to these 2 groups. Please let me know what to do. And what we will do then is that we will take a look at all of the groups, and we will basically remove you from one of the groups, and then you'll get a reply letting you know, hey, you're in this group. Specifically, we had another person also with this issue. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Let's see again with Aluta here. Oh, the hand went down now, I think. Aluta? Are you here? No, it doesn't seem like it. Oh, wait. There we are. Yeah, we can hear that your microphone is turned on, Aluta, but we can't hear your voice.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to ask. It's the same thing about the group allocation thing. I've been allocated into 2 groups. So I wanted to ask if I can choose the group I want to remain in, or what, or if I have to write an email, which email should I write to? Because I'd like to stay in group 2K.
Yes, in this case, it's the same thing as I told Stefan. Please send an email to cyberschool@hcss.nl. Again, it's in the description of the challenge process, and the manual is probably also mentioned in the email you received. And there you can say, hey, I've been allocated to 2 groups, but I would really prefer to stay in the K group that you mentioned there. And then I have no doubts that we'll be able to arrange it to make sure that you get to go with your preferred group. Does that sound good?
Much.
No worries.
Thank you so much.
Let's see. From Melanie, Daniel, we have a written question here. Can we share our video to LinkedIn? And if so, must we wait until it is published on the Sanks YouTube? Another question, are all videos posted on YouTube? The answer is yes to all 3. Can you share the video to your LinkedIn? Yes, and it's a great way to be able to drive engagement and likes to your videos. Number 2, if so, must you wait until it's published on the Sanks YouTube? Yes, where we're going to be looking at in terms of the like metrics are going to be the ones on the official Sanks YouTube uploads. And then number 3, are all videos posted on YouTube? Yes, this is going to be the specific posting where we'll be measuring likes and stuff like this. So yes is all the way through there. How am I going to be notified about the group I will be removed from? You will receive an email as a reply to the email that you sent in saying that you're in 2 groups. I will double check that now, but that to me seems like how the process would reasonably work. Let's see. We have no new verbal questions at the moment. So a new text one came in here. When allocated to the group, how are discussions conducted amongst the group members? Is there any responsibility placed on anyone to organize teams, or WhatsApp group should be created? So the responsibility and allocations and stuff like that is for you to work out within your groups and to get contact with your group members. Like we mentioned before, we're not going to be like, hey, here's the group, this person should do this person should do this. That's for you all to figure out and coordinate amongst yourselves with your fellow participants. Given that we don't have any more verbal ones, maybe yeah, do we have any words of advice, Jalene, for how to conduct discussion amongst the group members when you have kind of like diffuse responsibilities at the moment before things are really, you know, concretely decided upon within the group?
I mean, what I would recommend is to have a kickoff session with your group. Also understand who has which type of strengths. Maybe you have somebody more on the creative side, somebody less on the content side. So try to identify people's strengths in your group so that you get the best out of everyone. Not quite sure if you have teams from a SANGS perspective, but if WhatsApps are a bit more easier, then find a medium where you can have that continuous communication. And if you have a team member, maybe that's not fully participating, work with those who are working together and make sure you put an awesome video together.
Perfect, thank you. There aren't any other questions in the chat or hands raised at the moment. So, well, let's give it, we have about 15 minutes left scheduled. But let's give it like a minute or two, see if anything comes up. But then if nothing comes up, then maybe we can round it off a bit earlier. But yeah, let's see. Okay, we have a written one and a verbal one. I'm going to enable your microphone, Marika, so that you can ask your question.
Thank you. Maybe just a general question, and sorry, I haven't gone through the guidelines yet. Would you like us to use any of the icons or the logos in our presentation, like any of the schools or Deloitte, or shouldn't we use it? Is there any rule against that?
For us, we don't have any specific requirements in terms of logos and stuff like that, like including the SANGS logo or the HSS logo or anything like this. It's optional for you. I would generally maybe you can mention SANGS, I think, but I would be a bit careful with putting logos from organizations on there. Unless, yeah, you're representative of the organization in question. I imagine the same thing will go for the Deloitte logo, but I'll hand that over to Jalene to discuss.
Yeah, I think given I'm not sure whether it will be published on public network and all of that, so maybe rather stay clear of Deloitte's logo as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, because the videos will indeed be posted on publicly available on YouTube then. So yeah. Okay. Then I have from Precious here. I'm going to enable your microphone so you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you. I wanted to ask if there's anything that can be done. We have a member whom we can't reach. Their email doesn't go through. So I don't know if they an error in the email or what, but we can't get through to that individual.
Yes, in this case, do you have you already decided your team's point of contact with with us?
Yes, we did. We did create a WhatsApp group, and we can't reach. We can't reach that member.
Okay. In this case, could one person then in your group then ideally the same point of contact that will also be sending us your final product then at the very end, send us an email again to cyberschool@hcss.nl and letting us know, hey, we have this person in the group and you mentioned them by name. We've tried contacting them via email or anything else. We use this email address, but we can't get a hold of them. Please let us know what to do, and we will take a look. If it appears that you indeed have the correct contact information and it's just they're just not being responsive, then we will let you know, and we recommend that you still keep working on it in the meantime. And then if there is some mistake with the email address, then we can correct it then and send it back to you. So yeah, send us an email describing your situation to the Cyber School email address, and we will help you out from there. Thank you. Then we have a question from Yusra in the chat. Thank you for the session. Could you still add the link to the briefing? It is the link that I sent before in the chat. It's the YouTube recording of the previous lecture session. I will send it again to you. You will see that in the latter half of that, you go through the slides for the specific Deloitte challenge, and you can take a look there. Must we include a reference at the end if necessary? There's no hard requirements for this, but as a general rule of thumb, yes, if you're using specific numbers and stuff like this, it might be good. Maybe in the corner you can add like a brief citation in terms of where it's from, and if you have the time, you can flash on the screen for a little bit a brief list of the references and the sources you used. But I wouldn't be overly concerned in it. Again, we understand the limitations of this being a short 3-minute video. So we're not going to expect extensive citations that takes up a lot of time or space on the screen when you have such limited room to maneuver there. So yeah. How am I going to be notified about the group I will be removed from? I believe it will be via email in a reply to the email that you sent them about the double group allocations. I'm confirming that now on the side, but I'm fairly certain that that is how you will be made aware of the group changes. And at the moment, I don't think we have any more questions. If you would like to stay in the meeting, Takunda or some of the other people that have the double group allocation thing, while I'm just confirming how you will be informed, then you can feel free to do that. We do have 10 minutes left. How are you feeling, Jolene? Would you like to stay for the remaining 10 minutes in case something comes up, or maybe somebody joins a bit late, or yeah?
Yeah, I can stay for a few more minutes. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. You have a group preference, Takunda, for 2F. In that case, you can feel free to send a reply to that cyber school email that you already sent us talking about the double allocation and saying, hey, I would prefer to be in 2F if that's possible. And then it will be there because I don't do the allocations. I don't manage the email address personally. So you need to make sure that they have all the information that they need to be able to make that allocation because it's not something I have direct control over. We have a question from Tuso, so I'm going to enable your microphone. So you can now unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, okay. I just want to know, is it mandatory for my face to appear on the video? Or can I just speak on the background while viewing some graphics on my video, or is it mandatory that my face should appear on the video? Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. No, it's not mandatory that you do the video in any particular style or presentation or with faces or stuff like this, as long as everybody's contributing to the making of the video and yeah, to the final product in a substantial way, then there is no problem. And as long as you obviously address the questions brought up in the challenge, those are the main, and that it's under 3 minutes. Those are the main 3 important requirements then. But as long as you stay within those bounds, no, it's up to you whether or not you want to do graphics, animations, show your face, not show your face. Yeah, it's completely up to you. We have another question from Stacy. So I've enabled your microphone. I see you took down your hand just there, but feel free to unmute yourself if you still have your question.
Oh no, you answered my question. You answered my question. I was gonna ask if everyone is required to be in the video.
Yeah, no, as long as everyone is contributing to the making of the video and is working together in a good way, then no, there's no requirements about specifically being there visible in the final video. Okay, I feel like we've probably answered the most pressing questions. So again, if you have any like organizational things or stuff like this, then please send it to us in an email. Yeah, other than that, wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much, Eileen, for being here with us. With regards to the people in the double groupings, I will make sure that you are informed about this in a good way. I think it will be in the email. I'm 99% sure, but I was just waiting for 100% confirmation here. But it will likely be by email. Otherwise, we'll find some other way to contact you. And yeah, thank you very much. Unless you have any final thing that you would like to add, Jeline, I think we can close off this meeting.
No, I just want to say have fun. It's a nice area. Be creative, but have fun, and looking forward to see some of the videos. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.